Oh, hey, it's Christopher Sieber, and this is Spilling the Tea with iHeartRadio Broadway.
iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz.
The ultimate Broadway show that I have ever seen, well, it's hard because I've been in really cool shows, and the hardest thing is like when you're in a really cool show, you never get to see it. So there have been some really cool shows that I've done that I've never seen. But I will just say, off the top of my head, The Producers was fantastic. I had so many friends in that show, and it was just nonstop fun. So, and I laughed my head off. The very first Broadway show that I ever saw was at the Jacobs Theater, which was the Royale at the time, and it was Speed the Plow with Madonna. Yeah, so that was the very first show that I ever saw, and I sat in the way, 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 way back, and I can tell you the seat, K106, and it was way, 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 way up in the top. And that theater is very special to me because I also made my Broadway debut there at the Royale Theater, which is now the Jacobs, and I always go back up to that seat, and we also did company there. And so I always go back up to that seat and look and see, because there's another kid that was 18 years old that's sitting in that seat right now, and I want to see what they're seeing. So, yeah. The show that I'd love to see, that if I had time, and that's the hard part about doing a Broadway show, is you never get to see your friends doing their Broadway shows because you're normally on the same schedule as them. But maybe Happy Ending with my friend Darren Criss. I would love to see that show, but we have the same exact schedule. What is my favorite moment in Death Becomes Her? Well, there's a few of them. But and don't make me choose, but I'll choose. I think I do like my song, The Plan, in Act 2. At first, I was terrified of it because there's so many props and there's so many comic, and then you have to slowly get drunker and drunker as the song goes on. But it is now one of my favorite parts of the show. And plus, watching Michelle Williams at the very top of the show come up in that elevator in that crazy, amazing dress, and she turns around and the audience just loves it. If there is a moment that breaks me on stage, it would most likely it's with Jennifer Simard, because she and I have done so many shows together, and we know each other so well, and we work as comedians together so well. But when things just minuscule changes, like little teeny tiny things, because we're kind of perfectionists in a way. And when one little thing goes wrong, we'll get what we call the secret smile, like, but usually only us could see it. But we're pretty good about not breaking. And it's also Megan Hilty, because she also changes. She gets to yell out a sponsor every night, and that sponsor changes every show. And sometimes the sponsors are just bizarre. And luckily, I get to turn up stage, which I have. She has made me laugh a lot of the time. If I could have a potion to make me immortal, or like long life, or even, I don't think I would take it. I don't think so, because I'm okay to go. I don't know, because I wouldn't want to see my friends die and then just hang out and then just see the world change, and then nah. I can give you a memory of playing Lord Farquaad on Broadway in Shrek the Musical, and it was it was during the Tony Awards, and okay, so during the Tony Awards in the morning, what happens is you have a dress rehearsal full of the full show. So everyone's in costumes. You do it full out with the orchestra, everything. They film that just in case something should go wrong in the evening show, because it's live. So that night, in front of 6,000 people at Radio City Music Hall, there was a problem with the set. They added this little lip on the bottom of the set that I had to come out of. These doors would open and I would come out, and I tripped. And I'm already on my knees as playing a little guy, this tall, and I tripped. And my mind went blank. And I don't remember that performance at the Tony Awards at all, because all I could think of was 6,000 people that know who I am, and I am going to fail on live TV. That's what was going through my mind. The other thing that was going through my mind as well is that any musical Mondays at gay bars across the nation, they would play this clip over and over again if I literally fell on my face, and I could never go into a bar ever again on Musical Mondays. That's what was going through my head. I'll never be able to go to Musical Mondays ever again. Oh, if I could go back in time and perform with any Broadway cast. There's so many. I mean, can you imagine, like, seeing Gypsy for the very first time? Like being the first audience to ever see that. Or West Side Story, to see that for the very first time. Or a chorus line. I can't dance, so I would never be in that show. But I would say, like, something like Hello, Dolly, to go back and play, well, I'm old enough to play Horace Vandegelder now, but, you know, Barnaby, one of the, Cornelius, to play one of those parts in one of those shows back then, that would be so magical because it's so new, and that was kind of like the golden age of Broadway. So that would be really neat. But to go back in time and to be able to see the very first performance of, like, West Side Story, chorus line, Hello, Dolly, The Music Man, can you imagine? Wow.
iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz.